What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Paul. This is the Leeds Therapy. Thank you as ever for stopping by. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you are doing well. On the screen, you will see all of my socials, so if you could give those a follow for me, I would greatly appreciate it. So with the YouTube, just make sure that you are subscribed, that your notifications are turned on, that you are commenting, that you're liking the video, that you are subscribed, all of that good stuff. Again, that would be greatly appreciated. We're also on Spotify and also on Apple Podcasts as well. So if you're listening to the audio version of this, just make sure that you've followed the channel and also you are liking what you are listening to, as well, as that really, really helps the channel for me, helps it grow. So that would be greatly appreciative. So today is our big game preview, and we are looking towards our game against Tottenham at Tottenham's ground. So we're into that there London once again. Joy of absolute joys, I know. But usual stuff that I'm going to talk about. It's the stats, the general bits and pieces of information, just to give you a good idea of where everybody is and what's going on and how it's all looking and all of that kind of good stuff. So we will jump straight into it and we'll get on with the injury side of things. So for Tottenham, their injury list is massive at this moment in time. They've got Vicario out, they've got Ben Davies out, they've got Romero out, they've got Dejan Kulusevski out, they've got Xavi Simons out, they've got Dominic Solanke out, they've got Mohamed Kudus out, and Wilson Odobert is also out as well. There's quite a few cruciate ligaments in there. But yeah, there's a good possibility that we might see Maddison. He's been on the bench a couple of times, and he's kind of gotten back from his ACL, so Maddison might play a role. Now, from a Leeds United point of view, it does say that there's only two on the injuries list, which is Goodmanson and Gruev. However, with the press conference yesterday, the news wasn't absolutely fantastic. Okafor has got a weird, calf injury. We saw him at the end of the Burnley game. He had a massive ice pack on the back of his calf muscle, so I'm assuming that they've tried to do as best as they can do to keep him as mobile and as on the ball as possible. But unfortunately, he's not going to make it for this game, so he is more than likely going to be out. There is also a question mark over Pascal Struijk as well. There's a slight question mark over him, I should say. But all being well, we've got the players there in reserve that can come in and can hopefully do something for us. The important thing to remember about this game before we get massively into it is that Tottenham have only won 2 games at home all season. It's a really, really important thing to remember. And the win against Villa, well, the less said about that, the better, I fear. Pre-match standings. So for us, for Leeds, it's drawn 1-1, drawn 1. And for Tottenham, it's lost, drawn 1-1. So Tottenham have won back-to-back games for the first time in forever this season. But, there's a lot of people saying that they might have turned a corner. There might be X, Y, and Z now. However, what I would say in answer to that, and again, I point to the Villa game, just beware of false dawns. We thought that we were going to be going somewhere, when we beat Liverpool, and it obviously didn't turn out that way, but it is where it is. So we're currently sat 14th. Tottenham are currently sat 17th. We're on 43 points. They're on 37 points. So there's a 6-point difference between the two of us, which is not bad going, to say that there's only 3 games left. And listen, before we know it and before a ball's even kicked, we could be mathematically safe as it is anyways. So, that door could be shut. If Arsenal beat Tottenham, then, that's it. Game over. We're done. We can enjoy the remaining 3 games of the season. But I think we're going to enjoy the remaining 3 games of the season anyways. And I know that Farke wants to go for as many points as is humanly possible. And I'm pretty confident that he's chasing the Bielsa record of the first season up, where we had 51 points. And if he gets all 9 points, then that will leave us on 52. And he will have done slightly better. So I know there's a bit of a personal milestone for him there as well. Looking at the head-to-head side of stuff, so it's not pretty reading. There's a 4-0 loss, a 4-3 loss in there, a 4-1 loss in there, a 2-1 loss in there, which is the most recent one this season. And then obviously we've got today's game as well. So we haven't beaten Tottenham in 4 games, and we desperately need to change that around. And we owe them one, I fear. I fear we do owe them one. Going on past history, I'm just off the top of my head, when Kane speared Ilian Meslier into the goal and the goal still counted. We owe him. So let's get down there to the stadium and do what we need to do. Goal distribution. So this is one of them ones that I really like to have a chat about and talk around. It's really interesting to see where goals are scored and conceded and what they actually do. So, like, from our point of view, the majority of our goals are all conceded in the second half. That's just where it is. It's not that we fall off. It's just I think sometimes we sit back a little bit too much in the second half, which consequently means that we're more likely, once the pressure's stuck on, to concede goals. So between 45 and 90 minutes, we've conceded 36 goals. 36. We need to be careful of that. The interesting thing for Tottenham when they do tend to score is between 30 and 45 and 75 and 90. So they've got 23 goals between those two periods there. Conversely, Tottenham aren't very good 30 minutes to 45 or 75 minutes to 90. In those two sections, they have conceded 33 goals in those two sections. So that's quite an interesting stat. We generally tend to finish the first half quite strong. It's where we score our most goals, is in and around 11 goals. But also as well, we score goals post, 75 to 90 and 90 plus as well. So with that's quite an interesting stat to hold on to. We have gotten much better in terms of conceding goals in the second half of games. So we just need to make that continue. Just remember, we're on a 6-game unbeaten run at the same time as well. So long may it continue. Recent form. So for Tottenham, there are interesting stats in there, shall we say. So they lost to Fulham, lost to Crystal Palace, lost to Atletico Madrid. They drew against Liverpool. They beat Atletico Madrid. They lost to Forest, lost to Sunderland, drew at Brighton, won at Wolves, and won at Villa. And this is one of the things that I say when it comes around to it in terms of false dawns and stuff. If you look at the two teams that Tottenham have picked up their back-to-back wins for, Wolves are already relegated, so there wasn't much harm in anything changing in that one. But also as well with the team that Villa put out for that match, I mean, it was an absolute abomination. Nothing wrong with it within the rules. Emery is quite entitled to do that, but we know the squad that he put out wasn't a brilliant squad or a good enough squad. So, yeah, you can make it, like I said, you can make of that what you will. And it's one of those things, I talked about it on the podcast with the lads last night, about the reactionary side of stuff, or looking at it as a larger overall thing and trying to work out where we need to be and what certain things actually mean. I don't know if that makes sense. Insights-wise, so Tottenham is sitting 17th with 9 wins from 35 league matches this season. They have scored just 5 goals in their last 5 matches. They've won back-to-back Premier League games for the first time in months, and they've won all 3 home Premier League meetings with Leeds, scoring 9 goals. Like I said, we owe them. We genuinely do owe them. We have scored 10 goals in our last 5 matches, which is double what Tottenham's tally is in the same span. We rank 11th in the Premier League XG table despite sitting 14th. So we're underperforming expected points by 8.6. This is something that's often talked about. And the XG side of things is a really good barometer for looking at where technically you should be. Leeds have lost all 3 away meetings with Tottenham, conceding 9 goals. Like I said, we need to make changes with that. We've not drawn any of our last 8 meetings with Tottenham. Came close in the first game at the start of this season, but unfortunately no cigar for that one. Still annoyed at the way that their players basically controlled the referee for the entire game there. Looking at average SOFA score rating, so for us, we're on 6.78. That's over 35 matches. We've scored 47 goals, 1.3 goals per game. We've conceded 52, 7 clean sheets, 24 assists, and 46% ball possession. For Tottenham, conversely, 35 matches, they've scored 45, same goals per game as us. They've conceded 54. We've got 8. They've got 8 clean sheets, 35 assists, and they have a 50% possession ratio. Standings tracker. So, looking at it, Tottenham started the season fantastically well. Like really, really well. They were in and around the top area for quite a long period of time, up until, roughly speaking, around about week 9. And then from week 9 onwards was just an absolute almighty collapse. And they've collapsed and collapsed and collapsed and collapsed and collapsed and find themselves where they are now, which is, 17th in the table currently. 2 games, they've had a little bit of a mini revival, but again, I would urge people, look at the 2 teams that they played against, look at the teams that they played against, factor that in when you're talking about resurgency and stuff and things like that. As for us, we started fine for the first couple of weeks, and then we were struggling, and then, as I always talk about, from week 12 onwards, we really steadied the ship and progressed ourselves, and we steadily moved up and up and up, which is where we are now, which is 14th in the table, and long may that continue. Looking at their top-rated overall players, so for Tottenham, you've got Romero at 7.11, you've got Palhinha at 7.01, you've got Pedro Porro at 6.88, you've got Xavi Simons at 6.88, and then you've got Mohamed Kudus at 6.86. Then for us, you've got Stack at 6.16, Ampadu at 6.11, Darlow at 7, James Justin at 7, and Noah Okafor at 7 also as well. So really good mix of players, and there's a lot of our players. I know Okafor's not going to be there for the next 2 weeks, but when you talk about players that have stepped up to the mould, there's not a lot more you can say other than what you're looking at there. So more in detail stats with regards to Tottenham. So goals per game 1.3. They've got no penalties, none from 10 free kick goals, 39 goals from outside of the box, and 5 goals from 39 goals inside the box and 5 goals from outside of the box. 6 left-footed, 25 right-footed, 13 headed goals, 2 big chances per game. They missed one of those. 11 shots per game, 4 shots on target, 4 shots off target, 3 blocked shots, 9 successful dribbles, 5 corners per game, about 10 free kicks per game. They've hit the woodwork 9 times and they've counter-attacked 16 times this season. The ball possession sits in and around at 50%, so accurate passes, 334 passes, so in their own half is 180, and in the opposition half is 154. That is a success rate of 90% and 74% conversely. 14.9 accurate long balls and 4.7 accurate crosses. Then we move into defending and the other statistics, the little bits and pieces that I like. So 8 clean sheets. They concede 1.5 goals per game. 20 tackles per game, 8 interceptions per game, 27 clearances per game, 2.5 saves per game. They've recovered 49.2 balls per game. Errors leading to shot is 28, and 13 of those shots have been converted into goals. 2 penalties committed, and they've conceded both of those. Clearances off the line 2, and last man tackles are 12. Duels won per game. They win 50% of their duels, of which 50% are ground duels and 46.5% are aerial duels. They lose possession 137 times per game, roughly speaking 19 throw-ins per game, 8 goal kicks per game. They're offside 1.6 times per game. They commit 12 fouls per game. They've had 2.6 yellow cards per game, but also, interestingly, 4 red cards so far this season. Then we move into their lineup. So in the last game that they played, they had a 4-2-3-1 formation that they put together. So they had Kinski in goal, Udogie as left back, Van der Ven and Danso as the 2 centre-backs, and then Porro as the right back. And then in the centre of midfield, they had Palhinha and Betancourt. Then they had Matthias Tell on the left-hand side, Gallagher in the middle, Kolo Muani on the right-hand side, and then Richarlison up front. So that very similar 4-2-3-1 formation that we're looking at. It's the thing that's funny about this is, even when you look at the number of players that they've got out with injuries, just the players that they've actually still got in their team, it's bonkers that they are where they are. And then for us, so obviously we know our limitations this time around in terms of players that are potentially going to be out. But I've gone with, on the basis of that Strauch will be available, and it's just more of a precautionary thing. So I'm looking at kind of a 3-4-3 formation, or a 3-4-2-1 formation, if you like. Going with Darlow in goal, Rodon, Biol, and Strauch as the main 3 at the back. I would then go with Bogle, Ampadu, Tanaka, and Justin overall. So you've got Ampadu and Tanaka kind of sitting in the centre of midfield, Bogle and Justin as the 2 wing-backs there. Stack, because he just has to be in the squad and he was so good against Burnley in there. And Nonto filling in for Okafor, which I've got no issues with at all. And Calvert-Lewin up top as well. Nonto on the left-hand side has got the potential to be very good. Him up against Porro is going to be quite a good match. That's obviously assuming that Nonto's going to be playing, but that would be the side that I would play. Because then what you've got is you've got Bogle and Justin that can then slip back into a 5. Ampadu that can move further backwards to make the defence a 4. and then you've got Stack and Nonto that they can then move into the midfield and almost make it a midfield 6 or a midfield 4. And if it's changed around to a 5-4-1 formation overall, sort of more defensive out of the ball, that would be sort of what my consideration would be. But, you know, as I said previously, we need to go there with our tails up. We need to go there wanting to get the 3 points. We need to have a strong defensive performance. Everybody needs to be on game for the entire match, and we need to assert our dominance. We need to start quickly, like we have done, like we have the ability to do, and we need to go at them. We've got to absolutely go at them, and we've got to sit up. It's fast. We need to start fast. That's the normal thing that I would say. We just genuinely need to start fast and really go for it and try and get the 3 points. You know, there's a lot of permutations today in terms of what could potentially happen. You know, Newcastle losing, we could go above Newcastle, and you start setting your sights on everybody else. Or if Newcastle draw, we could go above Newcastle. There's a lot that's going on in terms of permutations. We know that Crystal Palace's game in hand is against City as well, so that's something that could ring into our favour moving forwards. We just don't know, but we're now at the stage where we've gotten to in the season where we're looking up, and that's what we need to be doing. We just need to be looking up and doing what we need to do. That's going to do it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please don't forget to click the like button. If you are new to the channel, please also don't forget to subscribe. So make sure your notifications are turned on, you're commenting, hyping, liking the video, all of that good stuff. If you're listening to the audio version of this, please also make sure that you are liking the audio for me as well. That would be greatly appreciated. Take care of each other. Most importantly, take care of yourself. I'll see you on the next one, guys. Thank you very much for your time. Genuinely, I really do appreciate it. Take care. Cheers.